Yes, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back to GEA Fan TV. Dublin are All-Ireland champions for a fifth year in a row. They become the first ever county to achieve such an achievement. Just unbelievable from Dublin in many ways to have achieved this, to have gone about it in such a crazy way today. You know, Kerry are such a good team. They're such a good side. They have a very young team, and I've no doubts that they are going to be back, in years to come. They are going to be there or thereabouts over the next 4 or 5 years when it comes to winning All-Irelands. Will they win one? You know, I've confidence Kerry will win one, but who knows? I mean, it's all about Dublin today, and as a Dublin fan, I'm delighted, absolutely delighted. I mean, commiserations to Kerry, but as a Dublin fan, of course, I'm absolutely happy. I'm delighted. I'm chuffed, and but yeah, guys. So, of course, here is always to break down the game, talk about the big talking points. But of course, first of all, if you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot to really keep the subscriptions going. And yeah, lads, I mean, listen, Dublin came flying out of the traps very early on. It was similar in many ways to the first game. Dublin started quite well in that game. I think in the first 10 minutes, Dublin had like 5 points. I think it was 6 points to 2 at one stage as well. And Dublin were looking very good early on. Paul Mannion hit, a number of early shots. Some very good points from him. He looked very bright. Dublin looked a lot more composed on the ball. They were better with their kickouts, and Dublin just looked all in all way more composed and way more accurate, than the first game. I think Dublin might have only hit maybe 2 or 3 wides in the entirety of this game, but Dublin were looking very good, and they certainly looked more up for it than in the first game, and they were certainly able to nullify a lot of Kerry's problems a lot easier. David Clifford in the first half was outstanding. He was unplayable at times. In the second half, we didn't see that much of him, and we'll get onto that in a minute, where I really find what was the deciding factor between these two counties and what made Dublin win this game by 5 points in the end. I mean, listen, Dublin in those early stages, in those 10 to 20 minutes, they were the better team, but Kerry were very well able to keep up with the pace of this Dublin side, and once again they nullified Brian Fenton very well. He had more of an impact in the second half than he did in the first. Stephen O'Brien was outstanding in this game for Kerry. He kept driving at Dublin. He was causing them a lot of problems, and what Dublin were doing, Kerry could do too, especially in that first half. I think there might have only been 2 or 3 wides in the entirety of that first half, and there wasn't even any frees. I mean, it was kind of remarkable in many ways. I think Kerry might have had 1 or 2 frees, but in general, Dublin were doing very well at maintaining Kerry, and Dublin pressed up quite high up on Shane Ryan's kickouts. That caused a lot of problems for Kerry quite early on. There was a lot of turnovers, but both sides were very well composed in many ways in that first half. I think a standing out player for Dublin in this game and in the first half was Kieran Kilkenny. I thought the way he controlled the ball, the way he slowed the pace down, Dublin done a very good job at keeping the ball, not being rushed, being decisive. It frustrated a lot of the Kerry fans at times. They were booing when Dublin had the ball for excessively long periods, and okay, fair enough, I understand that, but Dublin were just being very smart. They were being very calculated. Once they had the lead, they knew there was no need to go and really drive at the Kerry side and try to finish them off with loads of goals. They were a lot more composed. Con O'Callaghan was fantastic in this game again. He was a lot more composed, and free kicking taking ability was just brilliant from Dublin. And even after Jack McCaffrey went off injured in the first half, Dublin still had the answers. And listen, man of the match probably either Kieran Kilkenny, but probably Owen Merchant as well, because I mean, what about that goal at the start of the second half? I mean, it looked like very bad defending from Kerry. I mean, Merchant won the ball and he was able to just run straight through, which is remarkable in many ways, that no one was able to put a block on him. I just don't think anyone's seen that coming so early on in the second half. And yeah, it was a wonderful finish by Owen Merchant. I thought he was outstanding in this game. He done a really good job at nullifying Kerry's attack, while also contributing with points and a goal as well. And Dublin were just more well-rounded in many ways, and specifically in that second half, Dublin were able to pull away from Kerry in the decisive moments. Once Dublin had that goal, the difference between the two sides was very evident. As the game went on, Kerry obviously brought on Tommy Walsh. Dublin were a lot more disciplined as well than Kerry. Well, not more disciplined than Kerry. I mean, Kerry didn't give away any frees, but Dublin were more disciplined than the way they were in the last game, which I thought was a massive factor. And yeah, I mean, look, listen, there were some talking points. Dublin probably should have had a black card in the first half. I think was it David Byrne, I think, who brought down Paul Ganey. So he could have easily got a black card. I'm not too sure how he didn't even get a yellow. He didn't get anything. It was just that was very strange, because I have a feeling if that was David Goff, there definitely would have been at least a yellow there. Dublin could have had a penalty maybe in the first half towards the end. I said the penalty in the Dublin versus Kerry game was soft initially. When Kerry got a penalty, having looked back at it, I understand why it was a penalty. With this one, again, it could have been given. This is the inconsistencies sometimes we have with referees. We have some referees that will give them as penalties. We have some referees who won't. We've seen even in the second half as well, late on, Kerry probably should have had a penalty as well, and that wasn't given. So there are some inconsistencies with referees at times, which is a bit disappointing. It makes things a bit confusing to really know what's right and what's wrong in terms of what decisions should be made. But look, listen, thankfully there was no major talking points in this game. Dublin were just better in the second half. Kerry done a great job at times of bouncing back from some of the Dublin goal. For example, Kerry brought it back to 2 points. I thought Jack Barry had a very good game. He really got in behind Dublin once or twice and caused them a lot of problems. David Moran done a great job for Kerry in the first half. I thought in the second half he faded quite a lot, especially in that midfield, which really allowed Dublin to really gain more momentum and kind of slow Kerry's attacks at times. And Moran, unfortunately, going forward, just didn't quite have the same abilities that he's had in previous games. And yeah, I think the deciding factor for me, which was something I said in the preview of the first game, was that conditioning. That Dublin, they're a lot more physical, they're a lot more stronger. They've done this year in, year out. They have the experience, and physically they're well able to go for the full 70 minutes. They're well able to match whatever team they play. In the first game that didn't happen. In the second half for some reason, maybe it was a sending off, who knows. But yeah, and Kerry faded. Fatigue definitely kicked in. You could see Kerry getting quite tired. They gave away poor passes at times, lost possession in silly areas, and missed a lot of very easy chances. They hit 9 wides, which I think they hit 9 wides in the first game as well. So yeah, I mean, that was the deciding factor. And I mean, look, listen, Stephen O'Brien had a huge chance at one stage, which was a great save by Cluxton, but I felt like it was more straight at him. I feel like Stephen O'Brien could have easily played it into Paul Ganey, and that could have easily been a goal. And had that have gone in, I mean, we've seen the difference the goal made in the first game. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, what would have happened had Kerry have gotten that goal? And yeah, I mean, look, listen, for all the Kerry fans watching, I know you guys will be back. I'm sure you definitely will be back. There's absolutely no doubt about it. This is a very young team. David Clifford looks like he's the potential to be one of the greatest of all time. Stephen O'Brien looks absolutely outstanding. David Moran, I know David Moran's been around for a while. Jack Barry, Jack Sherwood, Killian Spillane, Adrian Spillane. You've still got Tommy Walsh if he sticks around. So lots of opportunities for Kerry there next year to win this All-Ireland. But look, listen, fair play to Dublin in the end. They get the job done, the first ever county to win 5 in a row. And yeah, lads, I mean, I suppose we'll make a toast. Cheers to Dublin, cheers to Kerry, and yeah, cheers to everyone who have watched all these videos. And there will be a lot more content coming out, even though the GAA season is very much wrapped up. I'm going to be talking a lot about club football, and I have a lot of other plans and big things coming to build into the 2020 GAA season. But yeah, lads, I think I am going to wrap this up here. My name is Aaron, and I will catch you all next time.